Say Dr. Alhaji Mahmoud Bawumia and a shasie, say nyon ne shasie, say NPP for Diason, say a NDC for ne diaba, and Yahona Yeshe. The Eshen say Ghana betimi etumpon. Ye nyina enim say sa amanyosem me na me shasie manwie enti eye media we na di asobo form enti we project eno enti ena ya amanyosem a ene Ghana obaha project bebre na aka wiram ni nyina ne se saban biba na wokase woka ko wiya ye beka se de wo hyase no ono na ye mfa credit ne ma no enti wo behwe wo ba no no so kwakwasa no akọ start foforo onwie na wagya ne ho we ba an meka se meka ko wiya ye beka se nyeme na me ye nyina so nto aba ma me na me so makọ media se me nwie enti ye project nyina kan wiram na good board media me bossa me Gyamfi aba so papa wasa na mo a watue wo mu se na aba bedadwa se Dr. Alhaji Mahmoud Bawumia ene share sa de no ase na so hwe bra Alhaji Bawumia hyase na ye ba beto aba na o hwe empepre ho ne ade a mintimi nka se wo na hyase enti Sammy Gyamfi di a waye no ye mfa ho credit ma Bawumia dabi wo mu se na Alhaji Bawumia so woni so de hunu epese wodi oman yen gold no ekokoduru ba bi de na so ene de obofore de nam ho apaso enti Sammy Gyamfi ene ye sa video e de abona baso pa wa na mo woni ne gold board adwumakuo ba ye wonu matumi atu menua ene sen bomodin a se obe subscribe odi like video yi ma ye share fa wadwenkyere so bra ne mboa na ye ntime kenkan bi na ye nyina ye mfa mu aba na ye nsua mu ade se yebeka ya 2024 ebra ne yeboabo ye ho aka akoto aba na Dr. Alhaji Mahmoud Bawumia sabre wono na ye the Vice President of the Republic of Ghana woko commission the Royal Ghana Gold Refinery ewa Accra Royal Gold Refinery ewa Accra ya wonom kyerese sa gold refinery no na ebetimi a refine capacity 400 kilograms of dog gold per day. No mo just da kurubia no ke be refine Ghana yen gold yi no kilogram no ma oha ahanan enen ke be refine ya wonom chese sa facility kakraka na wonum siye na womudi mu akade ne nema bebre no a begu honom no wonom kire se na ebe export anase gold no 24 karat gold 99.99% purity chese de ya so ne so de afamfidie mu krogin anane a broni beto wa bra onye ho bibia bio eno ena omoka ho aseme 24 karat no mo chese betimi anane ma se me hu se de misi nsusu nka Dr. Alhaji Mahmoud Bawumia de no ya wonom ebabese odi enya ntoboase na ye hwe 2024 kwan a Dr. Alhaji Mahmoud Bawumia wonum ene abrofo ena afi nso John abuginapo sabro na ye the Minister for Lands and Mineral Resources wono ena na eka ho bi to de yenko hwe Dr. Alhaji Mahmoud Bawumia video no o ye no 2012 a wo mu e de commission sa Royal Refinery no embra ye bape anamo wa Sammy Gyamfi so tu ne a ene NPP fo kire se yemfa credit ne ma NPP no ye ba na ya ba behwe Sammy Gyamfi de no so yenko hwe 2024 de embra.
If you look at what the governor told us, the Bank of Ghana through the Gold Purchase program has bought thus far $5 billion worth of gold just in the last few years. $5 billion. This would, if we had not been operating this program, that means that $5 billion would not have been there, because this $5 billion is from local sources. It's not as a result of export, right? Can you just imagine Ghana without this $5 billion? Where would we have gotten the foreign exchange to make up? Just to get $3 billion from the IMF, look at what we have had to go through. We have been able to pick up $5 billion from the local economy using cities to buy this gold. Without this $5 billion, our economy would have been in deep trouble. Buying even fuel would have been a problem. You would have probably seen queues and shortages that other countries are experiencing. So this program has been really very, very, very good for Ghana. And I think it is very important. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, as far as the benefits, us getting the benefits from our gold is concerned, I think we can say with no fear of contradiction that Ghana has been asleep for a long time. At the end of 2016, the total reserves of gold at the Bank of Ghana, for Ghana, was 8.7 tons. 8.7 tons. That is Ghana's total gold reserves. This compares to 3,352 tons for Germany, 2,814 tons for the IMF, 2,451 tons for Italy, and 8,133 tons for the United States. Now, it did not make sense when you look at this data that Ghana, the largest gold producer in Africa, will have some of the lowest holdings of gold reserves. It was against this background that the Bank of Ghana started the gold purchase program. The governor has made the point. For 60 years after independence, we had 8.7 tons. 8.7, 60 years after independence. Once the Bank of Ghana started a gold purchase program in 21, after 3 years, we have moved from 8.7 tons to 73 tons. We've bought an additional 65 tons of gold in just 3 years. And that tells you that we were asleep for a very, very long time. However, given the large amount of gold reserves Ghana has, this is just the tip of the iceberg. Let me say that with all the measures that we are putting in place to revamp the gold sector and the mineral sector, licensing regime, we will have also a minerals development bank to help the mineral sector and so on. I would like to propose a new foreign exchange regime management architecture for Ghana next year, in which the value of the city, with everything that we are putting, will be anchored to gold. This is where we are going. I want us to move our foreign exchange management because we need an anchor. And I believe that the best anchor for the city is gold. So I want us to anchor the city to gold. I'm proposing a framework. We'll discuss, of course, with the central bank, and we'll see where. But the framework that I'm proposing is very simple, having looked at all that we have done. So all significant demand for gold should be channeled through the Bank of Ghana's gold purchase program. So that if you have, say, a 3 billion cedis and you are looking to buy Forex, Bank of Ghana can take the 3 billion cedis and buy gold and give you your Forex. Demand equals supply, exchange rate doesn't move. It's just a simple use of our gold reserves to meet the demand for Forex. So once you can anchor the city with gold so that you are able to meet demand, then there's so much extra Forex reserves to do other things for the country. But then you'll maintain long-term exchange rate stability, which will be anchored on gold, and then we will move forward.
Abushia we dey or dance for otrofo na say me dance ni wa brochi mem Dr. Alhaji Mahmoud Bawumia na gina po wonum commission na wonum ye na 2024 no eno bi na yaka kohwe na Sammy Gyamfi abrantie Sammy Gyamfi so ba ye nyina ye nim gold board adwumaku kwan a wonum e fa so se de be ya ombeboa ama omaye gold ahodo ye wone kwan a ye fa so akakoton no ye betimi adane ani yie se de be ya de kwa brochira emu betimi aye duro na yaton enti we na the 20th of January 2025 ena Sammy Gyamfi so commission ne de ya wo kire se we ne de beboa ama yenso so ya dane ye ngodo ye wani akọ na yakakoton wo de me ha me krampo nkasa ensempolo ne nsempiewa Sammy Gyamfi kaye ene emfaso a sa gold refinery ya Sammy Gyamfi aka ho asemi de bebreye no yenko na yenko tie Sammy Gyamfi so ma wura mfi se wo be subscribe na wabeka Ashanti Media ho.
Your Excellency, the Ambassador of Egypt, the Chair of the Governing Board of the Ghana Gold Board, esteemed members of the Governing Board of the Ghana Gold Board, CEO and Chairman of Gold Coast Refinery, CEO of the only LBMA accredited refinery in Africa, Run Refinery, esteemed guests, distinguished ladies and gentlemen of the media, directors and staff of the Ghana Gold Board. Good morning to you all. I didn't hear you. Good morning to you all.
Good morning.
Yes, today is a great day because in a few minutes we will be executing a groundbreaking and landmark agreement that will change the face of the management of our gold resources, particularly in relation to value addition. But before we do that, permit me to give a little background to what we have all gathered here to do this morning. Ladies and gentlemen, when His Excellency appointed me sometime in January of 2025 to head the then PMMC, now Ghana Gold Board, his instructions were very clear. And one of the key things he instructed us to do was to ensure that we move Ghana away from extraction to full value optimization through value addition. And so under his instructions and the direction of my minister, Honorable Kaysil Atoforsen, would have loved to be here, but couldn't make it due to circumstances beyond his control. We visited Gold Coast Refinery on the 9th of April 2025. And when we went to Gold Coast Refinery, we were shocked at what we discovered. We found out that Ghana has the largest gold refinery in the sub-region. That is Gold Coast Refinery. Sadly, this refinery was being underutilized and was operating far below its operational capacity. The state of affairs that I witnessed firsthand was very troubling. And so we reported back to the president and the board of the Gold Board, and we commenced discussions with the refinery about how we can get the refinery to work. Because it didn't make sense to us as government that we will have such a critical asset in our country, and yet 99.9% of all the gold we export out of our country, whether it is small-scale gold or large-scale gold, is exported in its raw form. And so we commenced discussions with the refinery, and my governing board, led by my able board chair, Mr. Kwadwo, has supported me every step of the way. I thought you would clap to that. Yeah. So we started off by commencing some technical consultancy to assess the operational readiness and capacity of the refinery. And that led to certain recommendations being made to the refinery to improve the operational capacity and enhance their capacity to be able to deliver quality services to the government of Ghana. The refinery, I can confirm, is implementing all the recommendations we made. We then commenced the drafting of an agreement between us and Gold Coast Refinery, which agreement has gone through rigorous scrutiny by the governing board of the Gold Board and our sector minister. Now, this agreement, which we'll be signing a few moments from now, is going to ensure that up to 1 metric ton of gold, in other words, up to 1,000 kilograms of gold that is exported by the Ghana Gold Board, will be refined here in Ghana at Gold Coast Refinery every single week. And we hope to ramp this up through a gradual phased approach and ensure that we are able to achieve total local refining of all the gold we export out of the country. Let me say that Gold Coast Refinery has been very cooperative. They have not relented despite the challenges. There's a refinery that was commissioned in November of 2016 that has gone through several challenges since then. But I think that with where we have gotten to now, it's important to commend them for their persistence and their determination. They have not given up on their Ghana project. And what is even more exciting about this occasion, and the agreement we are about to sign, is the coming on board, or let me say the bringing on board of Rand Refinery by Gold Coast Refinery. As I've already indicated, Rand Refinery is the only LBMA accredited refinery in the whole of Africa. And it is our hope that by coming on board, they will bring their expertise, their experience to bear to enhance the technical capacity, the management capacity of Gold Coast Refinery, and help us not only refine our gold locally, but also to achieve an LBMA accredited refinery here in Ghana. The coming on board of Rand Refinery signals one thing, and that is we are not only interested as a government to refine our gold locally here in Ghana, but we are interested to refine that gold in a sustainable manner that promotes traceability and that ensures that every gold that we feed to Gold Coast Refinery for refining is responsibly mined and responsibly sourced in line with the OECD and LBMA guidelines. The Ghana Gold Board is very committed to this. And our soon to be launched track and trace system will make the verification of this very, very easy. Now, as I've already indicated, what this agreement means is that up to 1 ton of gold that is exported by Gold Board every week will not be exported in its raw form, but will be refined to minimum purity of 99.5%. And in fact, it is refreshing to know that Gold Coast Refinery has the capacity to even deliver 3 nines and 4 nines and 5 nines. So they can give us 999 the best standard, of gold purity for exports. Another exciting thing about this agreement is that every bar of gold that will be refined by Gold Coast Refinery and exported will bear a hallmark that will have Gold Coast Refinery, Ghana Gold Board, the Ghana Standards Authority, and the Bank of Ghana's emblems. That is also very, very refreshing. But even more exciting is the fact that we are not some strangers who are going to be refining our gold at Gold Coast Refinery. But we are part and parcel of that refinery. In fact, that refinery is also ours. What do I mean by that? The CEO and chairman, and I must say the board of the Gold Coast Refinery has been gracious enough to give the Republic of Ghana a free carried interest of 15% in Gold Coast Refinery. And the Ghana Gold Board is proud to hold that free carried interest of 15% for and on behalf of the Republic of Ghana. And this is the certificate that has been issued to us as evidence of this 15% free carried interest. Now, it is our hope, we as government, we are leading by example. And so this 1 metric ton of gold we are hoping to refine every week effective 1st of February 2026 is gold that we buy, we own, and we control. But we don't want to stop there. We want to work with the man in the hats, the CEO of the Chamber of Mines. And for those of you who don't know, the Chamber of Mines is the official body that represents large-scale mining firms in this country. We want to work with them to ensure that we don't stop at the local refining of ASM gold, but we also rope in large-scale gold. So, sir, we'll be hearing from you shortly, and I know that you're already on the same page with us. The excuses from our big brothers in the large-scale sector must stop. We must start from somewhere. They cannot continue to refine their gold in refineries in Europe, while refineries in Ghana continue to suffer. We need to do this. And the reason why it's important for us to do this, the benefits of this agreement we are signing today are numerous. For the general benefits and the low-hanging fruits, you know already what this agreement means is that the millions of dollars we pay as refining charges to refineries in Dubai, in India, Switzerland, Hong Kong, and other foreign countries will now stay in our banking sector. That money will now stay in our economy. We will not be paying that. What this agreement also means is that we are creating more direct and indirect jobs, particularly because Gold Coast Refinery has committed to operating 24/7 in line with government's 24-hour economy policy. Again, this agreement means higher tax revenue for the people of Ghana and potential revenue in the form of dividends due to our 15% free carried interest. But more importantly, there are certain key benefits that are worth sharing. One of the challenges that has plagued our nation is the issue of purity losses and the undervaluation of gold exports from Ghana. A lot of people don't know that all the gold we export from Ghana, as a country, we do not yet have the capacity to determine its true value. Because what the Gold Board as the national asset does to determine the purity of the gold is simply SRF assay. An SRF assay cannot accurately determine the value of gold. And that is what we do to the small scale gold we export and the large scale gold we export. And how do we know the value? We have to wait for the off-takers buying the small scale gold and the large scale mining companies exporting the large scale gold to go to refineries outside our country, refine the gold, determine the purity, and now come and tell us as a sovereign currency, country, that your gold purity is X or Y, and that this is the value. We don't have the means of determining that. Now, this agreement is going to put a stop to that, because at Gold Coast Refinery, we'll be doing fire assay, the golden standard of assay before and after refining, and we can determine the accurate purity and, for that matter, value of our gold. We wouldn't have to rely on refineries outside our country to determine that. Again, when you export gold in this raw form and you do your SRF assay, the purity sometimes for Ghana gold, 92%, 91%, 93%. When the gold eventually gets to the destination country and fire assay is done, most often than not, the purity figure is always lower than what we record here. So that leads to huge losses. And when you look at the volumes of gold we're exporting, that is millions of Ghana cedis that we lose as a result of that. That issue of historical purity losses will also be a thing of the past. Now, we will also be able to accurately determine the silver content of the gold we export, and we can possibly retain that silver here. We can choose to sell the silver or retain it here for purposes of fabrication. So all the jewelers in Ghana and those involved in the fabrication industry can now have access to adequate silver and refined gold to make quality jewelry and other forms of gold and silver ornaments. And finally, this agreement we are signing has made formalization of ASM and traceability an urgent imperative, because without that, I'm sure we cannot count on the continued support of Refinery. They cannot be involved in anything that does not promote traceability and sustainability. So these are many more are the benefits of the agreements we are signing today. So, Mr. Chair, Your Excellency, CEOs, esteemed members of the board, we want to reaffirm our commitment to this agreement. This agreement will not be ideas on paper, just ideas on paper, but we are committed to translating these ideas into action. And we can assure you that effective 1st February, you'll be getting a minimum of a ton of gold every week. And subject to your capacity, we hope to even increase that. So I want to conclude by thanking His Excellency, the President of the Republic of Ghana, the nation builder, His Excellency John Dramani Mahama, under whose vision this is being done, and the Sector Minister, our governing board, who have supported us every step of the way for us to achieve this landmark, feat. Thank you very much for your attention.